Welcome to our US Briefing Show, folks. Today, we're diving into some fiery international drama, starting with a tense showdown in the Caribbean. After a US naval attack on a suspected Venezuelan drug boat, which sadly resulted in 11 lives lost, Caracas is firing back, warning the US to back off and avoid military escalation. The US claims the vessel was linked to a notorious criminal gang, but evidence is shaky. Meanwhile, US warships are gathering in the Caribbean, hinting at possible intervention, but experts think a full invasion is unlikely, yet tensions are definitely rising. Next up, in the US legal arena, President Trump is fighting to keep around $5 billion in foreign aid frozen, appealing to the Supreme Court after a federal judge called his move likely illegal. This battle over funds approved by Congress is stirring controversy. Critics say it risks harming urgent international aid programs, while the administration insists it's within their rights. It's a high-stakes legal tug-of-war that could impact U.S. foreign relations. Finally, in arts and politics, Hong Kong's West Kowloon Cultural District is gearing up to open a massive new theater, aiming to boost its arts income and attract more visitors. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, political shifts are shaking up the Senate, with allies of former President Duterte losing control and potentially reopening corruption investigations. And on the global stage, China's Xi Jinping is calling for unity against U.S. trade protectionism at the BRICS summit, while the Russia-China pipeline could reshape energy markets and geopolitics. That's all for today. Please continue to watch for the full stories. Deutsche Welle reports escalating tensions between the United States and Venezuela following a deadly U.S. naval strike on a suspected drug-carrying vessel from Venezuela, which resulted in the deaths of 11 individuals. The U.S. claims the vessel was linked to the Tren de Aragua, a powerful South American criminal organization, labeling it a threat to U.S. security and subsequently designating it a terrorist group. Caracas vehemently opposes U.S. military intervention, warning against using force for regime change, and has accused the U.S. of imperialist policies. Meanwhile, the U.S. has deployed multiple warships to the Caribbean, signaling a show of force that has raised fears of potential intervention, though experts suggest that such an escalation might be more about militarizing the ongoing war on drugs rather than imminent invasion. The U.S.'s aggressive stance includes offering a $50 million bounty for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, whom they accuse of involvement in drug trafficking, further straining diplomatic relations. Venezuelan leaders, including Maduro, have responded with defiance, warning of mobilization and denouncing the U.S. strikes as imperialist provocations, while opposition figures see the U.S. actions as pressure tactics, possibly aimed at regime change, though many analysts believe direct intervention remains unlikely due to the risks of destabilization and regional chaos. In the realm of U.S. domestic policy, the Associated Press details a legal battle over nearly $5 billion in foreign aid that President Donald Trump's administration has refused to disperse, citing a controversial use of executive authority known as a pocket rescission. A federal judge ruled that the administration's withholding of funds was likely illegal, emphasizing that congressional approval is required for such budget cuts. The Trump administration's move to freeze aid has faced legal challenges from nonprofit organizations and raises questions about adherence to federal law, with the Justice Department asserting that some aid will be spent before the fiscal year ends. This controversy underscores ongoing tensions over executive power and congressional oversight, highlighting the complex legal landscape surrounding foreign aid and the Trump administration's broader approach to budget management and executive authority. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong, the South China Morning Post reports on the anticipated opening of a new 2,320-seat performing arts theater at the West Kowloon Cultural District, expected to bolster the district's cultural offerings and improve its financial sustainability. Currently, the district's performing arts venues operate with a low-cost recovery rate of 30%, relying heavily on ticket sales without additional revenue streams like food, beverage, or venue rentals. The upcoming West K Performing Arts Center aims to address this by providing more space and facilities, which could increase revenue and reduce the district's overall deficit. Despite financial challenges, including a significant increase in operating deficits and declining fundraising income, the Arts Hub continues to attract over 15 million visitors annually, with a substantial portion of tourists. The new theater's opening is seen as a vital step toward revitalizing Hong Kong's cultural scene, though the district's financial health remains strained compared to global counterparts, emphasizing the need for diversified revenue sources and strategic planning to sustain its cultural initiatives. The South China Morning Post vividly captures the recent upheaval in the Philippine Senate, where allies of former President Rodrigo Duterte found themselves unexpectedly ousted in a swift, 24-minute session. Vicente Soto III, a seasoned lawmaker aligned with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., was swiftly installed as Senate President, signaling a significant shift in political power. This maneuver, described as a sudden and strategic move, caught Duterte's supporters, such as Senators Amy Marcos, Beto de la Rosa, Bongo, and Robin Hood Padilla, completely off guard, leaving them caught flat-footed. The change could have profound consequences, especially on ongoing corruption investigations and the impeachment prospects of Duterte Carpio, the vice president. Experts suggest that the newly empowered Senate leadership might revive dormant impeachment trials and intensify scrutiny of Duterte's allies, potentially reshaping the political landscape and accountability processes in the Philippines. The South China Morning Post reports that Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a compelling address at the BRICS summit, emphasizing unity among emerging economies against US-led protectionism. She called for a collective response to trade challenges, advocating for an open global economy and reaffirming the importance of multilateralism centered on the World Trade Organization. His speech underscored China's commitment to resisting protectionist policies while fostering cooperation among BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and defending the collective interests of the Global South. This stance comes amid broader efforts by China to position itself as a leader advocating for a more just and fair global governance order, especially in the face of U.S. economic influence and unilateral trade pressures, signaling a strategic push for multilateral solidarity among developing nations. The South China Morning Post details the potential geopolitical and market upheaval that could result from the long-anticipated Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, a project that would channel 50 billion cubic meters of Russian gas into northern China annually. Analysts warn that its completion would create a structural shock in global LNG markets, challenging U.S. dominance and reshaping energy geopolitics. By providing China with a more secure, cost-effective overland supply, the pipeline could significantly reduce China's reliance on expensive LNG shipments and bypass strategic choke points, thereby complicating U.S. energy strategies and diminishing American influence in global energy markets. Although delayed since 2006, the pipeline's eventual operation could see China sourcing up to half of its natural gas from Russia, intensifying competition and potentially diminishing U.S. exports, all while signaling a shift in global energy leverage toward Eurasia and reinforcing China and Russia's emerging partnership beyond Western reach. According to the South China Morning Post, the United States' increasing hostility towards Chinese students and the broader narrative of China as an adversary are symptomatic of deeper issues within America itself. Despite the fact that Chinese students are valuable contributors to both nations' economies and societies, they are increasingly subjected to discrimination and suspicion, fueled by a political climate that perceives China as a threat rather than a partner. The article emphasizes that the root causes of America's decline, such as economic inequality, the collapse of manufacturing, and the failures of neoliberal policies, are domestic problems that have been exacerbated by a political discourse that scapegoats China. The Make America Great Again movement, driven by nostalgia for past global dominance and economic prosperity, reflects a broader dissatisfaction with the current state of American society. When critics blame China for America's internal crises, be it in clean energy, education, or infrastructure, they obscure the fact that these issues stem from long-standing policy choices. Framing China as an inevitable adversary not only distorts reality but also hampers honest policy debates, risking further polarization and hostility. The article argues that China's development has contributed positively to global progress and that the true challenge lies in America's willingness to confront its internal failures rather than externalize blame. Meanwhile, Yahoo US reports on the political push within the United States to declassify and release files related to Jeffrey Epstein, a case that continues to stir controversy and debate over justice and accountability. The lawmakers' assertion that "we have the votes" signals a determined effort to shed light on the extent of Epstein's network and the possible involvement of powerful figures. This movement reflects a broader desire for transparency and justice amid ongoing questions about the handling of Epstein's case and the potential cover-ups that may have protected influential individuals. The push for the release of these files underscores the importance of accountability in a democratic society, especially in cases that have exposed systemic issues of abuse, corruption, and the abuse of power. As the debate unfolds, it highlights the persistent tension between the need for transparency and the political and institutional barriers that often hinder full disclosure, emphasizing that justice depends on the public's right to know the truth. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6 Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6 team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6 Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6 Brief via email.
Rise and fall, traitors bleed, our call. Daniel is wrong, still in fight. Workers sweat, endless night. Stubborn in search, shadows bled. Rise of empires, no end. Dragons well, blood and steel. Screams unheard, prophets real. In war crews cold, fortunes made. Workers' fate in the shade. Currency war, silent fight. Cradles burn like a night. Through smog, neon gleam. Economic power, move a steam. Contract sign, trails deep. Backroom deals, vultures sleep. Right bombs echo, breach insatiable cry. In this mental wasteland, dreams die. Like a sweat, endless night. Stubborn surge, shadows bled. Rise of empires, no end. Dragons well, blood and steel. Screams unheard, prophets real. In war crews cold, fortunes made. Workers' fate in the shade. Currency war, silent fight. Cradles burn like a night. Through the storm, neon gleam. Economic power, move the sea. Currency war, silent fight. Cradles burn like a night. Through the storm, neon gleam. Workers' fate in the shade. Currency war, silent fight. Cradles burn like a night. Through the smog, neon gleam, economic power moves the sea. Contract sign, betrayals deep. Backroom deals, ultra sleep. Night bombs echo, bleeds insatiable cry. In this mental wasteland, dreams die. Contract sign. Trails deep, backroom deals, vultures sleep. Night bombs echo, bleeds insatiable cry. In this mental wasteland, dreams die. Rising seas, ancient law.